Hey, what's good everybody? It's cjbeatz. We're back at it again today. Today we're going to make a beat using my free sample pack that I just put out on frequency.com called Dark Matter. So be sure to go check that out. I'll put a link in the description for you. It's completely free. You can download it. There's 10 samples in it. Each sample's tracked out, so you can manipulate it whatever way you want. So let's cook up. Alright, so I opened up Logic and we're going to start importing some of these sounds from Dark Matter. And let's listen to a preview of one of these samples. It's 10 samples that are all tracked out. Each one's tracked out for you. As you can see, you have the individual tracks. And, they contain different types of instruments, bass lines, etc. So let's listen to a preview of Zan in 154 BPM. Awesome, so let's go ahead and start importing these samples into Logic, and I'm just going to click and drag them in. Actually, you could select multiple to drag in and then just say create new tracks. Okay, so all of them have been imported. Let's solo them out so we know which ones are which. Okay, so this is the bell, and I always like to try to stay organized, so I'm going to name that bell. Okay, so now that we've organized ourselves, we could start arranging these samples in a way that we want them to progress. So I'm going to, I'll chop them right here first off. I have a link in the description if you'd like to see how I chop samples in Logic. And we'll go ahead and loop that off for 8 bars. And we're noticing here, right, that sound or that loop ends right here, so I'm going to chop it right there, do the same here. Okay, so if by any chance you ever come across this where it doesn't line up with the bar 100%, and even though you're in the right BPM, you could always go to that track, all right, select it, and then chop it, and then get rid of the excess. All right, so this is the main melody. I'm going to drop that one on top. Okay, so we'll chop that right here. And we could just loop this now. So loop that like so. Okay, so we can make this our own. Let's go ahead and let's see what we can do. We can go ahead and bounce this in place now. So we have it's a duplicated track now. And it looks like I had normalize on, and see how that's louder than this one. And we don't want to do that. So we're going to get rid of that, delete that track. And let's bounce in place one more time. And let's make sure that the normalize is off. Okay. And what normalize does is basically takes, it takes the audio and makes it louder. So for this, purpose that I'm using it for, I'm not, the bounce in place, I don't want to normalize that sound. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and come down here. I'm going to continue chopping this sample up a little bit here. And want sort of like an underlying tone, but of that other bell sample. This one right here. Loop this off right here. All right, so now it's duplicated and chopped. What we can do now is double click on these. Let's go to File, Function, and Reverse. And we'll do that for all of them really quick. All right, so now we can start adding maybe some different effects on top of that. I like the Filter Freak 2 by Sound Toys a lot, and they have some really, really dope presets that you can mess around with. So let's check out the sweeps. Bring down the resonance a little bit here. Nice. Maybe we can even drop something else on it here. Let's take a look. Maybe we could do a halftime on it. This is basically a halftime plugin. All it does is halftime, but it gives you a little more, you know, ability to manipulate that halftime and make it into different types of loops: half step, full bar, 2 bars, etc. The mode, you know, I'll play around with it a little bit so you could see what it could do. So the mix right now is at 100. We can bring this mix down like that. So it's a little bit of both the halftime and the non-halftime. And I messed around with the fade already. You can, you know, have it fade in and out a little bit. You can try different types of loops here: half step, quarter. I like the quarter, that's nice. Smooth it out a bit. Have it more abrupt or more smooth. I'm going more abrupt here. Let's do 20 milliseconds. Try to 21 is good. Alright. Let's manipulate it even further. Try to find something else here. I'd like to maybe drop a crystallizer on it. Okay, let's listen to that. Alright, that's fire. Let's go ahead and start working on some drums. Now, for this tutorial, I've never done this before. I'm using battery for my drums. And I figured out how to, you know, route all my audio, and I'm gonna bring up my mixer here by hitting X on the keyboard. As you can see, I have a lot of aux tracks already set up here. Shout out to Stefan Guy. He put out a tutorial. I'll link it in the description that tells you how to set up battery. So if you have native instruments, you know, battery, this is a really great way to import or to use battery in Logic. And you could basically take all of these individual pads here and route them to different aux channels. Some could be mono, as you can see here. These are mono. So my kicks, my snare, my clap, and snare clap combination is an extra one. Those are in mono, versus the other ones, which are in stereo. So you can use, you know, percussion, hi-hats, cymbals, etc. on these other stereo aux channels. So you guys can go check out Stefan Guy's tutorial on how to put battery into Logic and use it that way. So let's find some drums for this melody. And maybe what I was thinking is, before we get into that, I know I like stepping, you know, it's all a creative process. So I'm coming up with new ideas as I'm doing this. And let's say we'll bounce this in place too. Make sure the normalize is off again. And what we'll do here is now bringing in a halftime. Okay. And this could be like the intro. So bring this stuff over like this. I can hit A on my keyboard to get to my automation, and we'll go to halftime, and then just say mix, like that. You got this pink line that appears. So this is basically indicating how much of the halftime plugin is being used on that sample. So that's full. So I can draw a dot here and then here, bring this one down like this, okay? and now it will basically have that halftime plugin on, and then it's going to fade into out and then into the hook. So let's rearrange this again. And let's have a listen real quick. And maybe we can have that played twice. Now that I'm listening to it, it sounds a little too short for a hook. So I'm just going to hit Alt and drag them over like that. Alright, so now let's start working on those drums. I got some classic Johnny Giuliano drum kits here that we can quickly find some drums in. Always my go-tos here. That's a nice kick. See how they automatically routed into these different aux channels right here. So again, check out Stefan Guy's tutorial on that. Like that vibe. Maybe as a second part of the hook we can have that snare combo come in, you know, just to make a build up. All right, okay, let's look at some hi-hats here that we can maybe use. Brush tool. I'll use my brush tool now to let's see, it's right here, right? To draw in some hi-hats, and we'll have these come in at eighth notes. Coming into battery now and changing up the voices here. So I'm going to make it 5, just like the fade, and this will allow basically the sample to play all the way through. Okay, and maybe we can build in some rolls. So I'm just deleting parts where I want the rolls to be, and maybe we'll do one in the front. And let's come over here and just select some random ones here. So let's do some triplets. I'll zoom in so I can see better. Yeah, and let's do an eighth triplet here, and let's see what else we could do here. Maybe something faster. 132. Okay, let's do a Let's do a 16th triplet again here. And then we'll do a 132 triplet. Nice. And now what we can do is remove these snares here, keep that same hi-hat pattern, but we'll have the snare drop like it normally would. Alright. Command A, Q to quantize, and let's shorten those up a little bit. Just to get a better overview. They need to be quantized though, so quantize in eighth notes. And I lost my hi-hats because I quantized everything, so I'm just going to copy them over. Bring your playhead to there, and so now we can go in here and continue with our kick. Just experimenting here. Let's try and see what happens if I have the halftime come back in at the beginning of the verse. Right a little better. And we'll have it gradually fade out again. Okay, and then we can have that expand another 8 bars. Okay. Cool, so maybe we could start building an 808 now for that verse. So I'm going to bring in a new software instrument, and let's use our trusty EXS24 sampler. In mono, of course, for the 808. Select my 808. Let's see if I have a tuned one actually. I think, yeah. Okay, let's see. 808 tuned. Yeah, that's my favorite one. All right, so let's draw on a new MIDI region. Take that kick drum that we had and copy that pattern over. It's way too low, so. Okay, so we don't want to overcompensate or, overdo the low end. One thing is to notice when you're using halftime, it adds a lot of bottom, so you can use an EQ to cut that out because you want that space to be occupied by the 808. Okay, so let's go back to our 808 pattern here. And then let's go ahead and use our hook again. Highlight it, zoom out, and then just Alt and drag. Now we can go into battery and start adding some more percussion here. So let's take a look at another kit here. I like that one. Like that one. Let's find some more here. Okay, if I hit X, I can get into my mixer channel, and we can just make sure that all of these are coming right. So this one we'll delete because it's coming on the main one. So let's delete that. Let's cut the cell and bring that over here. Bring that volume down though, it's too loud. Alright, so let's start building our percussion here, and we'll just see where they're at. I think they start up here. Okay, so now I'd like to go into the in-betweens, as I like to call them, between the kicks and the snares for these perks. So maybe we can use our brush tool and just brush in. Let's make sure it's on the 8th note. Yep. All right, cool. Now we can start putting in some more. Give it some more bounce. And that blip sound, which is this one here, what I'd like to do is let's try reversing it. Come into our main portion here, and I'm just going to cut out some of those frequencies on that. Alright, cool. So now we can finish our percussion. transition to be a little bit shorter though. To top it off, we'll use an Isotope Elements just to, you know, make sure that that doesn't peak into the 2/7s, but stays at least by -8. And so there's no clipping that way. So I'm just bouncing this in place because I want to definitely try and chain something up here. Maybe we could just reverse this whole thing. You know, you want to make sure that your listener stays interested, so So I'd say this beat is pretty much done now. I'll definitely put a link in the description for the Logic project file so you can download that. Everything you heard today is included in that. Or you can go ahead and check out frequency.com. We got tons of loop packs on there, MIDI packs, drum packs, whatever you need for your production needs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed making it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notifications button so anytime we put out new content, you guys are notified. My name's CJ, and I'm out for now.